David, can we start? First of all, here's a question. How do you stop Brian Graham?
Been fairly successful this season. I think he scored one there at Partick the last time we were there, but he's been phenomenal, isn't he? Top scorer in the league. He's kind of dragged him through a couple of games with his goals. So played him most recently. So I'm confident our game plan going into it should hopefully hope the two centre backs with Brian Graham.
He's one individual. What do you make of their team, and what threat will they pose?
I think I'll be really honest. I think there's a lot been taken out of them over the last 3 games in terms of Friday, Tuesday, Friday. So we've got a wee bit in advantage going into the game in terms of intensity and tempo. They've put a lot into the last 3 games. So it's probably more so, I'm focused more so on Livingston than looking at what Partick. We just played one another, so this is the 5th game this season, 3rd time at Partick. So I'm probably more focused on ourselves and our group and how we're going to approach the game, rather than obviously focusing too much on the opposition.
Do you allow yourself to look ahead, or you just have to think, no, gotta get a good start in this one?
No, just one game at a time. One game at a time. Anybody can come through, go through the tie. I don't think there's we'll probably go into the tie as favourites, but I don't think anyone would be surprised if Partick then progressed to the next round. So it's going to be a really hard game. But it's just about the next game. Go and win the next game of football, and that's Tuesday night.
David, the talk of changing the format of the playoffs to one game, how would you feel about that?
I think it's a wee bit of a disadvantage to the team. I think it's a team that's higher placed that would get that advantage, so I'm not really sure, is that fair? I don't know.
It's heavily weighted just now though in terms of the Premiership, or is it not?
Yeah, it is, but then you strip it all back, so we're probably the one that's got a wee bit of a break there. It's definitely not in the favour of the team that finishes 3rd or 4th, but so you look at us, we play Tuesday, Friday. Let's use a Premier League team that's sitting at 11th in the league now. They're Wednesday, Sunday, am I right? So your 2 fixtures, Premier League teams have got 2 more fixtures than the Championship team. So if you finish 2nd, it's much of a muchness in my opinion, in terms of the amount of games you've got to play to get to the Premier League, because they've got 2 extra league games while the 2nd place team's playing the winners of 3rd v 4. So it's definitely not favoured for 3rd v 4th, but come 2nd and 11th, I don't think there's too much in it.
When you played Thistle here a couple of weeks ago, I think it's fair to say you were a bit unlucky not to get something at least out of the game, and the Thistle players were on their knees.
Yeah.
How much do you use that game as a motivation to your players and say, look, you had a chance before to beat them, you know you're better than them, just go and prove it? That
game we were probably the better team. I'm not so sure we are better. I don't think I would say that going into these next 2 games. I think internally we'll think we can go and progress to the next round. Partick will feel they can go and progress to the next round. In that particular game, I thought we were the better team, albeit we lost. They had no shots in target and get an OG. But I've been to Firhill twice this year, and I would probably caveat that with, I think Partick have maybe been the better team twice. When we've been there, we managed to get the draw on both occasions, but I think Partick have probably been the better team, and then we've won 1 here and lost 1 here, so I don't think there's a lot between the 2 teams.
I think Thistle as well, having lost the first leg against Ayr United, I don't think too many people were actually expecting them to go to Ayr and win.
No, definitely. You probably were looking at that first leg expecting it to be a really cagey affair, and Ayr United come out with the win, and then they go away to Somerset Park and pick up the win. So you've kind of, the home form kind of went out the window there. I listened to Scott's interview going into that game, and I think it was only ourselves and Hibs. It's only ourselves in the league that have beat Ayr United at home, and Hibs again in the Scottish, but then Partick go there and take 2 goals off them and win the game. So I think it's knockout football, it's playoffs. I think it brings out the best, and it's a really good, and I think it's one of the formats in Scottish football that's not broken, so we probably are trying to find a different solution. But this is the one that works for me. Does that make sense? Yeah. 2nd and 11th, I don't think there's a lot in it in terms of the progression. 3rd or 4th, it's a wee bit weighted, but your caveat would be with that one, you've had 36 games to try and finish 2nd or 1st, so if you're 3rd or 4th, you need to deal with that. But it's definitely one of the formats that I feel works, so I hope they don't change it, but I maybe better telling them I think it's a great choice and they should change it, because then they'd maybe keep it the same.
Do you sense a determination, David, within the group to get back to the Premiership?
There's a belief. There's a definite belief in that changing room. We've definitely got the ability. We've got personality within the changing room. We've got an identity that we've kind of stuck to most of the season. So no, there's definitely a belief. There's definitely a desire. There's a lot of boys that have not played Premier football in there, but there's also a lot of boys that have played that level. So there's definitely a belief within the group that they can go and do this, and I believe we can go and do this.
Who do you think will finish second bottom in the Premiership?
Don't know. That's a dodgy one. You're trying to get me in trouble.
No.
This is what he used to date me last year. He's missed me, hasn't he? Because every home manager gives him the kind of platonic answer. Right now, I think there's going to be a kind of toss of a coin between St Johnstone and Ross County, if I'm honest. I don't think there's anybody should in, but again, you could maybe throw Dundee in. There's a big game on Wednesday night, isn't it? St John's and Dundee. So I think these two games could flip it, but it's definitely one out of the three. That's probably not getting you. If you look at the league, that'll tell you that. So I done well there.
To what extent is new contracts and new deals dependent on whether you do go up or stay?
Well, I think new contracts and new deals within the boys that are in the change room. There's boys that I want to keep, whether in the Premier League or whether in the Championship, that doesn't matter. I spoke to a couple of players that, again, you're kind of hitting them with the two scenarios. I want you whether we're in the Premier League or the Championship, and this is what I can pay and this is what I can pay. So I'm probably at a stage where we've made a few offers to players based on both scenarios, explained to the players that we want them in both leagues. And then it comes down to that individual, to be fair. So there's maybe players in the changing room that are waiting to see if we're going to be in the Premier League. I'd imagine there's players in the changing room that are out of contract that have got offers for the Premier League. So it's a wee bit difficult because your season gets extended by 2 weeks really, and it makes it difficult, and then that bounces into the start of next year because your break is also then becomes very difficult. But we've made a couple of offers to players that are not at this club, made a couple of offers to players that are at this club, and we've had the two different scenarios.
The players are not at the club, but they wait.
Players that are
players that win the Premiership.
No, it's players that I feel I've made a good case, and I've spoke to them numerous times, a couple of them over the years, and kind of missed out. So I've had another nibble at them, had them in the office and said, well, I want you at Livingston dependent, and it's not dependent on the league we're going to be in. So I'm alright with that one. And then probably there's a part of your recruitment you're going to have to wait to see what your budget is going to be and what league you're going to be in, and then you'll recruit specifically for that league. But the 2 or 3 that I've spoke to, I would take them in the Premier League or take them in the Championship.
You must be confident if you can keep this core group together that you can. You'll obviously just
to
be competitive in the Premiership.
Yeah, I think we've shown month on month the group's grown together. The relationships on the park are there, the relationships in the change rooms are definitely there. So I think it's shown when you've got the more continuity you can get within the group, the more continuity they're going to have with myself, the coaching, my expectations. I think it only helps you on the park. So ideally, I would probably like to try and keep a minimum of kind of 70% of the players that have been playing for us in the building. There's obviously a couple that are out of contract that are maybe going to go elsewhere, and I'm pretty comfortable with that because that's what football's all about.
After that last game against Thistle, was the disappointment of not going up automatically? Was there a need to lift the group at all? Was there a lull in the mood, or is it even fire them up even more?
A little bit in the change room, but nothing spectacular. I think my job would have been a wee bit harder if, let's say, Falkirk could drop points and we drop points. I think that would have been a different scenario, but I think you go in the change room, you become realistic, you become pragmatic, and Falkirk won. So the Partick game then becomes a little bit irrelevant for us. It doesn't matter what we'd done on that day, and the boys are honest enough to accept that. So my job is a wee bit easier going by the Falkirk Hamilton score.
So it's not a financial nightmare if you don't get up, or is it?
No, I wouldn't say it's a financial nightmare, but there's definitely going to be a difference in the budget even from this year to next year. This year we had a parachute payment which helped us probably have a really competitive budget at this level. If we weren't to go to the Premier League, you're obviously going to lose that parachute payment, so there is going to be a dip in the budget. That's just natural, unless the people upstairs can find that income elsewhere. But I know the two Johns and Dave have been working really, really hard behind the scenes to bring investment into the football club. So we've got big games coming up, so I've kind of not really up to speed with too much about what's going on upstairs, but they're fairly confident that they can bring investment into the football club, and hopefully that means it bridges the gap in terms of your turnover and money that you may lose, solidarity by being in the Championship for the second year.